I have probably recorded this game more in the last 3 months than I have in the last 2 years, and I credit a lot of that to this personal save. I also credit a lot of that to encouragement and actually listening to the encouragement to be creative when playing this game and finally listening to that. But I also think that the reason why I never listened to it in the first place was because it was harder to be creative when you're looking at it from a perspective of this person would never do this or do that, and the creative freedom that you have from being around people who don't necessarily exist outside of the world of TEW, it makes it a little easier to craft your own personality for that person as opposed to just leaning on how you see them perceived on television, like you would with real life people. This show actually needs to be switched out because I just realized that we are doubling up on a tag team match, and we don't actually need to double up on said such tag team match. So let's flip flop and fly. Or maybe we throw Rocky Streets in instead. But with that being said, let's jump in and get the May edition of Big Time Live, or our big time event for the month of May, up and running and break things down. This is actually Rocky Street's first match in probably, I want to say it's probably his first match in almost 3 months? Maybe since February or March? No, probably March. Yeah, this is probably his first match since March, so month and a half, give or take. Not because he was injured or anything, it's just because I've had him off TV. This obviously was supposed to be pushed back because I didn't remember that the segment was where it was that you saw earlier, or you'll see later, I should say. But we're just going to leave it there. Miss Sonoro gets featured on the pay-per-view. Hollywood talking about Marcus McKing. Hollywood's talking about himself. Yeah, that makes sense. Hollywood's talking about Marcus McKing and the match that Hollywood gets the win for. I did finally change back the product to what it was originally because 3 years ago, the game, or the owner, Richard Eisen, changed the product away from the original product, which made it very difficult for stuff like this, which, hindsight being what it is, Mike Kinsey and Marcus McKing should have had a feud, but they didn't, because I didn't think to make one. But either way, Marcus McKing and Hollywood should have had a feud, but in the new product that we're switching back to, it's not going to make a difference, but because of the product we have, it relies very heavy on them both having good gimmicks and having an associated storyline. The fact that they don't have an associated storyline, it heavily weighs on the positivity or the production of the segment rating. You know what I mean? So that's why we got a 74 in a match that probably should have gotten a little bit better of a rating. But in 3 months, it should get better of a rating. This is, I believe, their third match back. Our Ace's third match back. I think he had one tag team match, one singles match since returning from his injury. But this is their first pay-per-view match since coming back. Babbitt wasn't supposed to be featured in the segment. But Angie Lee and Alex talk about putting everything on the line tonight. This is why this is why Babbitt was featured or mentioned in the segment. If Alex Pierce loses tonight to Brooklyn Punk, then in a match that I actually should be checking to see if... Yeah. It's not supposed to be for the title. If Alex Pierce loses, then Alex Pierce becomes Babbitt's assistant for a month. But if he wins, he gets a TV title shot. Alex Pierce did not win, but he also technically did not lose because the match ended in a draw. And honestly, this match was almost better than Marcus McKing versus Hollywood Mike Kinsey, which shows the positive thing. See, I didn't make this clear in a previous episode of Slamfest. I saved it for tonight. That clarity of it was that Alex Pierce was putting at stake the idea of win, get a title shot, lose, then for 60 days he becomes Babbitt's assistant. He didn't win, but he also didn't lose. So now the question is, what happens next? And the reason why he didn't win or didn't lose is this. Angie Lee and Babbitt both got involved, and it led to both women having a catfight in the ring, but also... See, the main reason why Angie Lee's wrapped up in this feud and was wrapped up with Alex Pierce, or has been wrapped up with Alex Pierce, is because I wanted to try and get Angie Lee over. And Angie Lee being in segments with Alex Pierce, being in segments with Babbitt, being in segments with Brooklyn Punk, will help her increase in popularity and get a little bit more over. So it should help her tremendously. But now the main question is, heading out from the pay-per-view, is what happens next with Alex Pierce and Brooklyn Punk, because Alex, though he did not lose because it ended in a draw, he did not win. So technically, does that mean he gets a title shot, or does that mean he's the assistant? You know, there's something iffy, it's iffy in between. You know, there's a question there of what's happening and what is going to happen next, because the fact of the matter is he didn't win, but he didn't lose, so that leaves some intrigue there, in my opinion at least, of, it's a cop-out. No, it's not a cop-out. It's not a cop-out. It's a tool used to build intrigue. It is a tool used to build intrigue. Because it makes you ask the question, does this mean he loses or does this mean he won? But either way, we move to the next segment. And now, in this one, Richie defended his United States title, but the stipulation was that if Richie Pangrazio retained his United States Championship, which he did, then that meant the Crippler had to unmask. And impatient like he would be, Richie Pangrazio does not wait for the Crippler to unmask himself. He unmasks the Crippler to reveal that the Crippler is Dave Billington and not Ray Kingman. And as Richie is standing there, Ray Kingman appears on the screen, on the stage, with Richie Pangrazio dumbfounded that Ray Kingman may have been actually that the Crippler was telling the truth, that it was actually Dave Billington and not Ray Kingman this entire time. But either way, this also means after 5 months away from SWF, the Crippler is no longer, and Ray Kingman has returned to Supreme. As for those who may not be aware, Ray Kingman lost a match in December where if he lost, it was his career in Supreme versing the disbandment of the All-Star team, and the All-Star team won, which meant that Ray Kingman was gone from Supreme Wrestling. But the reality of the situation was, I was not going to release one of my top stars. So I did what any sane person in the 80s would do. I put one of my top babyfaces under a mask, made it seem like he got fired, but it was clear that the Crippler, Ray Kingman's nickname, was Ray Kingman. Ray Kingman reappeared 2 weeks after, and won the United States title from Angus McLeod, which drew the ire of Richie Pangrazio tremendously. But now the question is, with Ray Kingman back, Dave Billington unmasked, the Crippler gone, what's left for Richie and Ray Kingman? Because this feud started with Ray Kingman against Hollywood Mike Kinsey last year. As a matter of respect, Ray Kingman didn't feel like anybody respected him. And the fact of the matter is, Coach was putting money on his matches, his own money, saying that he was that confident in Ray Kingman that Ray Kingman would win, that he would bet on Ray Kingman to win every single time. Ray Kingman would not disappoint. But the one time that Mike Kinsey said those magic words, that if you beat me, Ray, I will show you respect. I will shake your hand and call you the better man. I will give you my respect. No money, no coach, mano a mano, one-on-one. And the fact is, Coach wouldn't let that happen. Coach didn't let it happen. Coach interfered, allowed Ray Kingman to win. Coach interfered and let Ray Kingman win. And then Ray Kingman lost the one thing that he kept trying to get. Respect. When he was world champion, he felt like nobody respected him. When he was U.S. champion, I think he was U.S. champion before this recent title reign. He was main eventing pay-per-views. He was headlining events, but people still preferred Mickey Starr. People still preferred Sid Streets. People still preferred Mike Kinsey. But nobody gave Ray Kingman the respect that he rightfully deserved. And now, with Coach sticking his nose, damaging Ray Kingman's reputation, preventing Ray Kingman from getting the one thing that he solely wanted, and that was someone's respect. And not just Mike Kinsey's, but the people's. That damaged the friendship and the relationship with Coach and Ray Kingman to the point that in the rematch, Ray Kingman gave his word, signed a contract that said Coach would be barred from ringside. But Coach ended up coming back, and the results saw Kingman lose thanks to the Coach interference. And then that led to Ray Kingman finally being fed up because of a lack of respect with from Coach and the All-Star team to turn on the All-Star team and go against Coach and Richie Pangrazio, which led to Richie versus Ray Kingman, which led to Ray Kingman buying and putting into the waves that if he beat, that he would go through every member of the All-Star team, from Richie to Max Fury to Vincent Morris. He would go through every member and defeat every member piece by piece, bit by bit, until the All-Star team was gone. But he failed. And now, almost a year later, the story is still not complete as Rick Rumble returns from a 2-month break. As I gloss over Ray Kingman and gloss over Warren Hampton a little bit, because I spoke about Warren Hampton earlier, as this was initially supposed to be Warren Hampton's welcome. The other segment you saw with Warren and Tex Montana was supposed to happen after the upcoming match, not before the not that far into the show. But I didn't realize that I already had Warren Hampton's match, because this is actually Tex Montana's return from being written off television. As Warren Hampton gets another victory, this one against Damon Carruthers. Warren Hampton has a gimmick that stipulates that he's better than you, and that's why his catchphrase is, "My name is Warren Hampton, and that makes me better than you." But now Warren is back, was assisted in this matchup by his tag team partner, Tex Montana, and now you could probably understand why the segment that showed Warren and Tex together was supposed to be after his match, not that as early in the show as it was. But I didn't realize until it was pointed out to me by my brother that Ray Kingman and Ray Kingman and the All-Star team is now officially past a year, because I believe it started, well, what was pointed out to me is that feud with Ray Kingman and the All-Star team will be the longest running feud that I've done in the 6 years, 77 to 78, 78 to 79, 79 to 80, 80 to 81, 81 to 82. 5 years that I've done and been a part of SWF. It is the longest feud that I've had. It's going to be going, well, it's a year and a month now, but it's going to be going even longer after the fact. But now with Ray Kingman back, it's going to take another turn. Either way, we move to the world champion as Angus McLeod and Aries alongside Kronos and Hagar further explain that they took out Mickey Starr to make sure that the toxic savior, the egotistical, egomaniacal savior of SWF is out of the spotlight for just a little bit longer, because the fact is SWF is better off with Angus as world champion rather than Mickey Starr. And with Kronos and Hagar assisting us, Angus will be world champion as long as we want. Solid segment, though. This is not in the wrong spot. Even though Rick Rumble did work earlier, this is not actually in the wrong spot. Rick Rumble is back and addresses the fact that he's been missing for the last couple of months, and points out that he's debating his future and realizes he's not getting any younger, but still has a lot of life left in him, and is not ready to write himself off. He's not ready to write himself off and sail off into the sunset. At least not yet. And now we move to the interesting turn of events, as Frank Rock and Amiri Anjala came together for a tag team title match against Knight Rider and Mayhem Madan, as Knight Rider and Mayhem have defeated every team that I've put in front of them, and now it's going to be no different with them defeating the top contender pairing that Antonio and the Championship Committee put together of Frank Rock and Amiri Anjala. The fact of the matter is, Knight Rider and Mayhem, even against a made-up tag team, did not fail to live up to expectations. Joey and Teddy explained, and this is what was explained in Ace and Blackjack's segment earlier, where 3 years ago was the last time or 2.5 years ago was the last time Teddy and Joey fought Deadly Gamble. Deadly Gamble were heels, the Flames were baby faces, and also the reason, for those who may not be aware, the reason why it's been so long is both because of injury, but also the fact that that match had the stipulation that whomever lost, whichever team lost, either the Flames or the Deadly Gamble, whichever team lost, the winner, the loser of the match, the losing team, would not be able to team together for the entirety of 1980. And of course, the Flames were victorious and Deadly Gamble lost. And just as 1980 was wrapping up, and just as the segments were heading back in the direction of the Deadly Gamble coming back together, Ace McQueen gets injured. And Ace McQueen doesn't just get injured for a couple of months or a couple of weeks or a couple of days. Ace McQueen gets injured for the entirety of 1981 and the first 3 months of 1982. And that's why Ace just came back now. Because the fact of the matter is, Ace McQueen broke his neck in January 1981, in a match involving Blackjack, ironically enough, that Ace McQueen was supposed to win. You know, and the irony of it is that it would have changed things for 1981 for both Ace, Blackjack, Marcus McKing, Knight Rider and Mayhem, etc., etc., etc. But the fact of the matter is, because of Ace's injury, everything went out the window. Everything went out the window, and Blackjack turned a lot sooner. But either way, an impressive matchup for the fact that the match only went 6 minutes because of Blackjack's bad stamina, and that Blackjack really can't go longer without being penalized. And I'd rather get an 80 and have the match not be penalized than get lower than an 80 and have the match be penalized. But either way, the Deadly Gamble come up short due to managerial interference from Babbitt. But the Flames do get the win over the Gamble, even by using underhanded tactics and dubious means. The Flames still get the victory. But unquestionably, you have to figure that leaves unfinished business for the Flames and the Deadly Gamble. And now we move to what is, I actually believe, and this is the reason why I'm going back to this, I honestly believe this might actually be Sam Strong's first championship title opportunity. It's only a second match against... He never fought Sid. He never fought Wild... Oh, wait. Sorry. He fought Wildman for the United States Championship. He fought Angus for the United States Championship, which I totally forgot he fought Angus for the U.S. title, because the fact of the matter is, him and Angus beat him for the U.S. title last year. Honestly, I totally forgot about that. Mickey and Sam beat Sid and Aries for the tag team titles. So this is actually Sam Strong's first chance at the World Heavyweight Championship. And Angus MacLeod gets the victory in what is a stupendous debut title defense for the roughest Scotsman in the land Angus McLeod wins the title with an 82 against Sam Strong, the same rating they got last year with the U.S. title on the line. I do think being in New England did benefit us. But either way, this is Sam's first title defense, and sure as hell won't be his last. I mean, title opportunity, and it sure as hell won't be his last. But I wanted to give Angus, with the dubious means of him retaining his title, I mean, winning the title, I should say, with dubious means of winning the title last month, I wanted to give him a credible victory in his first official title defense to add a little bit of credibility to his championship reign, with questions of how long he will hold the gold. But either way, next month is Battle Bowl, and I know that solid show. I know that some might ask where Dusty Streets is. I think that if I think that if Chris Marcus was active, we'd actually have Dusty in action. But he's not, because he's injured. But I also think that squeezing Dusty into the show without actually having something for him to actively do might have been a mistake, and I think I picked the right people to have in the show. The one thing I would say that I probably could have did differently is giving Rocky a promo instead of Warren Hampton. You know, when I got rid of that tag team match, I should have changed the segment, but I didn't notice it, to be honest with you, until I started going through the show. But either way, yes, does this mean that the one percenters have to get a new championship, new challengers? Yes. Yes, they do. But Battle Bowl is around the corner, and Battle Bowl, unlike it is in WCW, or it was in WCW, it is not for a world title shot here in Supreme. It is for a tag team title shot here in Supreme. So I did add a little bit of a twist, and I credit that to my creative assistant. But the fact of the matter is, what I will say, I have recorded like I said at the beginning, I have recorded this more in the last 3 months. Hell, I've probably recorded this more in the last month than I have in the last 2 years. But I credit my attachment to this to finally taking a chance on something different and actually being more invested in this than I probably have in quite a long time in any database that I've done or personal save. But as always, if you guys have any ideas or any thoughts on this series, let me know down in the comment section below, as I am done for the day, and I will see you in the next one.